Welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel to DC, from Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and the Furious, we will review theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. This week, we are reviewing Obi-Wan Kenobi, streaming on Disney Plus, episodes 3 and 4. I am Doc Rotten, and joining me tonight are the crew, starting off with Chris Slattery, the Slattman. How you doing, sir?
Good. I'm going to refrain from hello there because I feel like that's a little too obvious.
Oh, on the nose, he says. On the nose. All right. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker and Star Wars Uber fan, Christopher and G. Moore. How you doing, sir?
Lightsaber attack!
Oh!
Lightsaber attack! Oh, I'm doing good.
You sad bastard.
I'm very sad. Probably why I'm single.
Dr. Tone's 3D House of Horror.
Oh, no. Oh, wow. Deep cut. All right. Also joining us is comic book artist and the co-host of every Decades of Horror that we put out is the one and only Chad Hunt. How you doing, sir? Why, sir?
I don't know. It seemed like the right thing to do at the moment.
It was this electric toothbrush, you know. He cares about his teeth.
Right.
Oh, well, I salute you, sir. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to review both episodes together tonight. We weren't able to do 3 last week, so we have 3 and 4 together. And of course, there's only 2 more left. We'll see how it goes. We'll do 4 and 5 maybe together, or 5 and 6 together. Who knows? It's up for grabs. All right, but what we're going to do is we're going to start off giving you our first impressions of each episode. Those both will be spoiler free, and then we're going to dive into the discussion. We will get into spoilers and maybe a gallon of Easter eggs, and then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score, and favorite scene, likely from each episode as well. So strap in. This is going to be a long one, folks. Let's just dive into the card and get this done, shall we? All right, Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 3, part 3, June 1st, 2022, episode 4, part 4. There's the names. June 8th, 2022, available streaming on Disney Plus. Directed by Deborah Chow, written by Joby Harold, Hassan Amini, and Hannah Friedman, based on Star Wars by the one and only George Lucas. The cast includes McGregor, Sung Kang, Moses Ingram, Vivian Lyra Blair, Idira Varma, Zach Braff, James Earl Jones, Hayden Christensen with O'Shea Jackson, Maya Erkshire, and Ryder McLaughlin. You can tell
I don't know why you try that.
I didn't practice that at all, did I? All right, synopsis. The sad thing is I did. The synopsis: Obi-Wan searches for allies as he attracts the attention of the Empire, threatening the locals. Yeah.
Somewhat.
Obi-Wan Kenobi plots a daring mission into enemy territory. Those are a little bit better. They're Slattman. We've talked about their brief descriptions. They actually have some color and flavor into them this week, don't they?
Agree to disagree.
Okay, fine.
It works really well for what they are, but there's the one for episode 3 is much better than the one for episode 4. I'll give you credit for that.
I think it should be killing the locals.
Killing the locals.
I think he's doing more than threatening the locals in one of the episodes. Just saying.
Oh, me. It gives a new definition to the snap, right, Chad? Oh, that's bad. All right. Not only is it bad for the show, it's a bad joke. But let's get on with our...
Never stops you.
Never stops me.
Never stops you.
It actually fuels me.
Bad jokes of that's your Sith power, is the force of
mother's milk.
That's my...
Yeah, he sucks from the teat of bad jokes, just like Luke did, if you know what I mean.
Oh my God!
Oh no! And that was also a bad joke.
Bad jokes abound here at Heroes and Droids.
I would say I feel attacked, but you're not wrong. All right, Slattman, start us off with your first impressions of episode 3 and 4.
Okay, so I'm going to do these a little separately because they're very different first impressions. Episode 3, outside of a couple mental gymnastics you have to make with plot armor. Fantastic episode.
Mental gymnastics. I love it.
Yeah, and that's my that fantastic episode. Minor gripe is a little bit of mental gymnastics you have to make with an accepting plot armor. Because
That's
yeah.
a thing. That's a thing.
We'll get to it in spoilers, but yeah, great episode. I'm sure Christopher G. Moore will go way more in depth as to why it's a great episode. Knowing him. Episode 4, this one surprised me, and Doc, you said it really well on our Heroes and Droids internal messaging system.
Sounds so official that way.
Star Wars communicator.
Oh my god.
This episode feels a lot more like an episode from Clone Wars or Rebels, and I think a lot of it has a lot more. The tone of the episode is a lot different than episode 3 or episode 2 or episode 1, in my opinion. I feel like it has a lot more the adventure that we have learned to love about Star Wars. And I thought it worked really, really well, and it was a lot of fun. But there's also a lot of plot armor mental gymnastics you have to make in this episode as well. But yeah, I still think it's fun. It's still a really good episode. But episode 3 is much stronger for a lot of reasons I'm not allowed to talk about yet. So
nice. Yeah, it does answer the age-old question: can a stormtrooper swim? That would have been really awesome had I not fucked it up. All right, Chad, sir.
You're string cheeser? What'd you say?
String cheeser. What is your first impression? Oh, I'm going home. First impression of episode.
You are home.
I know.
Chewie, we're home.
Okay. I guess you want my first impression.
Please.
Okay. Episode 3. I liked Reva a lot better in it because she didn't have as much to say.
I
it was cool to see some things in there that we've kind of been looking forward to, cool action scenes, and there were some mental gymnastics in this, which I have a lot of questions about that didn't make any sense to me, and maybe we'll go over it in spoilers and everything. But overall, I thought it was a very fun to watch and a very entertaining episode. Episode 4 just took it in a whole different direction. It seemed like it was a lot more action oriented. A lot more fight scenes, a lot more action, like I said. And I really, really, really enjoyed this episode 4. I think it's my favorite one so far.
Excellent. All right, Christopher G. Moore, sir, your first impression of episodes 3 and 4.
I loved both of them, and I think with 3, there's a moment that happens. We thought this is going to happen so early in the series. What is happening? And it made me very happy. But yeah, I think I've learned that at some point you can't be like overly critical of stuff, and I think those people that are trying to compare this series to the original trilogy act like the original trilogy was written well. And I hate to break it to you, scruffy nerfy herder, it's not written well. But it's all about the characters. It's all about the imagination. It's all about this creation of worlds. It's bigger than some of the words that Lucas put down. And I think, also this show's showing the limitations of TV as well. I think I felt a little bit of the force was not strong in certain elements of some parts of the series, especially these last 2 episodes so far. But overall, I still enjoyed it, and there's still some really great moments, I think, and the lyrical elements of story that tie into other parts of other movies, Clone Wars. Episode 4 actually ties into a lot to video games, which is interesting. There's so many things that tie in to the video games, which is, it's just crazy how the video games have become just as much canon as the TV shows or the movies have. And I'm loving the little girl playing Leia. I think she's perfect. So all those haters online need just to go shut up and stop watching if you have a problem with it. And I love Reva. I love her. I think as she goes along, I'm kind of interested to see where her storyline. I think we might have an element of her story that'll be kind of interesting. But yeah, I loved it. I mean, I will say, as much as I love parts of episode 4, there's a moment that just like it turned into like Scooby-Doo or Little Rascals, and I was like, no.
Oh yeah. I know.
No, and if you know, you know. I know we're non-spoiler, but
we're definitely going to be talking about that.
You know, and I'm one of those people.
You okay up there, Alfalfa?
Yeah, I usually will follow along with anything. It's Star Wars. We have laser swords. We have space wizards. But then I was like, what part? I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, but anyway, we'll get into spoiler.
We'll get into that more.
But that's the one moment. I've never been so fully taken out of a Star Wars film or anything ever than that one moment. Even Jar Jar Binks is more tolerable than this one moment, episode 4. So that's the only thing that kind of threw me for a loop. And maybe it's just me.
And people
no, it wasn't just you.
I mean, again, there's silly moments, and I think I don't know. I felt like I felt like more than anything, episode 4 felt more rushed.
Interesting.
It felt like it could have used another half hour for things to happen, and because it's so rushed and things happen, it felt a little bit. The ending just felt really like, okay, this is kind of scattered. And that one moment, just like I laughed about it. I was like, "What is happening?" It made Clone Wars seem more live action. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed both of them. I enjoyed a lot of moments of it. It definitely has that fun Star Wars thing, but I do see a little bit of flaws here and there. But I'm not one of those people. It's like, oh, you ruined my life. There's always you can go back and look at the original trilogy. You can find issues or errors or that kind of stuff on that as well. So you just have to be attached to the stories and the characters and that kind of thing. And I'm really loving how it's playing out. And I've learned that the series, which was originally supposed to be a movie, the series originally was going to be more like The Mandalorian, Lone Wolf and Cub. And when Filoni and those came on, I was like, oh, this is too much like The Mandalorian. They kind of changed it up. So I'm kind of wondering how that would have been, the movie would have been compared to this. But I'm loving it so far. I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm loving all the stuff with the Inquisitors and stuff. I wish Star Wars Land would have where you can go to the Inquisitorius, whatever the castle or whatever the name of it is. But anyway, I'll shut up. Scooby-Doo,
Ruh-roh. I actually enjoyed both these episodes. There was a couple of ear wiggles and raised eyebrows throughout both of them, but at the same time, it I don't know. There's elements that I really like about each episode, and I really did enjoy the 4th episode. There are a number of really weird things that happen in the 4th episode. I think the Scooby-Doo moment is just one of them.
That was the only one for me.
But episode 4 also has my favorite scene in all of the episodes this far that I know Christopher G. Moore is going to pick for his favorite. But we'll see indeed. But at the same time, yeah, if you don't. But so I'm enjoying it. I agree. I gave I wasn't sold with the actress playing Leia on episode 2. Episode 3 was a lot stronger. We'll get into why. And then I think episode 4, she actually outdid some of her fellow actors. We'll get into that. I'm still struggling with Reva. It's not that I don't like the actress, or it's just that we'll get more into it during the full review. But there's a menace needed that, like when Darth Vader comes in the room, it's there. When she comes in the room, I don't know what's there, and we'll get into that. And so that I'm really struggling with that, and but they did kind of write themselves into an impossible scenario that's not very fun for a Disney Plus show to do. But we'll get into all that, I'm sure. So I'm an easy target. I enjoy Star Wars, and this is great. I will say, and then I'll be done, is that I'm learning that compared to like Mandalorian, is that to me the TV shows work better when they aren't so focused on our beloved characters. I mean, I'm really enjoying having Obi-Wan be the focus of this, but at the same time, it doesn't have the same the fascination that Mandalorian brought for 2 episodes, 2 seasons, right? And I think it's because it's different perspective, and this kind of feels like we've been there, and I'm comfortable with that. And that word might be a big reason why I'm in, the other series are, exceeding and is comfortable. And I think they're a little comfortable with the, what they're doing here, but we'll get into all that as we get into our full discussion. But even before we do that, sir, Christopher G. Moore has Easter eggs. Are you going to break the Easter eggs up between the 2 episodes?
Yes.
Are we going to
scramble them, so to say?
Are we going to
let me just tear my pieces of paper and mix them up for you?
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
No, it would not be awesome. But I will say that I have seen a few people online that I think the biggest bane to fandom in general is expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe a few of us have fallen to that as well. We always have expectations. And there was like a few people, there's like one guy on TikTok talking about like, oh, I wish they had flashbacks to them in the Clone Wars. And I was like, well, go watch the Clone Wars then. I don't know why we have to Star Wars doesn't have to be all about like these references to things. And I think it also plays into, Doc, where you're talking about like, because we expect characters to be a certain way, so we're more critical of them, but we're less critical when they have, well, I guess some people are critical of Reva, but we're less critical of a lot of new characters that we follow and stuff, because we don't have expectations of how they're supposed to be. Like Boba Fett, a lot of the issues that people have with that. But anyway, let's get into a lot of the Easter eggs and elements. We're definitely in Spoilerville, so if you haven't watched the episodes, go watch them, and then I won't spoil it for you. One of the coolest things, of course, me being a person who loves some Vader, if you've noticed, his suit is more in line with the suit used in A New Hope. So the helmet is made differently. It's a little bit smaller. That costume has some different elements. The eye lenses are a little bit different. So I think that's kind of cool. That's why it feels like old school Vader to some degree, because the costume is much more in the first. Let's see.
It's like bringing the old Godzilla suit back out, right?
Yeah. Let's see.
Chad knows what I'm talking about.
James Earl Jones returns for the voice of Vader. But people have pointed out that they might be using the same technology they used for Luke and the latest the Boba Fett episode, when Luke's talking, when they actually use where they have all these elements of his speech and stuff. So, and they're also kind of mixing it a little bit with Anakin as well. Let's see. Kid Lea's outfits so far have emulated different outfits from throughout Star Wars, and I don't know if you've noticed, even when they're on the I mean, from the white outfit to the green outfit when they're in Return of the Jedi, even the older Leia outfit. There's a part where she covers up in a blanket, and it's similar to that. Let's see. Wait a minute, am I looking at the right thing? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, let's see. Some people have suggested Lola robot might be inspired by the small spaceships and batteries not included, because
I've heard that.
ILM actually developed those spaceships, so that could be something. This is of course the first live action look at the Fortress Inquisitorius, which was first mentioned in the Darth Vader comics, and then later, of course, we get to see a little bit more of it in the Star Wars Fallen Order game. Let's see. Wait a minute.
Maybe you should have tore him up and forget about it again.
Well, no, I think because I'm kind of mixing it together. Let's see. The Inquisitorius theme is a variation on the famous Imperial theme, so listen to that when you hear it play, especially when Reva goes into the fortress. The mining vehicle driver is actually voiced by Zach Braff. Although a lot of people, for some reason, thought it was Seth Rogen, but it's not Seth Rogen. It's Zach Braff, and also Zach Braff of Scrubs fame. Let's see. Although some people have also pointed out how that character is almost like a variation on, Trumpers, I guess I'll say. But let's see. Obi-Wan. They mentioned that Obi-Wan has a brother, which in the Return of the Jedi novel was noted to be Owen Lars. And it was based on an early cut of the original script, but it was kind of cut from that. So it's kind of like a deep cut to that, but not being so connected, which would be very incestuous, I think, at least for the movies. Let's see. Obi-Wan states that he only remembers flashes of a memory of his mom, which is similar to what Leia says in Return of the Jedi. She says she only has images or feelings of her mother. So it's a nice little callback to that. Let's see. Of course, we get a return of the probe droids, which we first saw in Empire Strikes Back. The planet, let's see. The planet is mining Ventrium, which is a mineral first mentioned in the game Star Wars Galaxies. So again, we get another connection to something that was first mentioned in a video game. Tala mentions that the Jedi had on Jabeam, which in the Force Awakens role-playing game of Star Wars, it was mentioned first in the Force Awakens role-playing game and Star Wars Adventures comic book as well. So
wow.
Yeah, very deep cut. Let's see. Tala taking out the stormtroopers is very similar to what General Hux does in the Return of the Rise of Skywalker. I just realized I wrote like the little letters, and some of them can be confused with other movies. Of course, the Jedi Order symbol is scratched on the wall in the escape route.
The path.
Yeah. The names on the wall. There's I think Jyn Altus, Valen Halcyon, and Ragonda Esmerin, which are all appeared in non-canon Star Wars books, Children of the Jedi. So again, they're kind of using stuff from the books that are not canon, but now they kind of sort of are. Of course, we get a quote from Quinlan Vos, if you remember from the Clone Wars, which first appeared, but he also first appeared in Star Wars Episode 1 and sort of like a background character. And like most things, these background characters get turned into other things and other properties. Obi-Wan senses the presence of Vader, same as Vader senses the presence of Obi-Wan in New Hope. So again, there's a lot of lyrical stuff that's happening. flipping of roles per se. Let's see. There's in the fight, of course, we get the big fight between Obi-Wan and Vader, which we thought was only going to happen at the end of this series, but they've had an initial battle, even though it's not as crazy as what we thought it would be. So hopefully there'll be a bigger battle later. But in the duel, there's nods to a lot of the duels between different characters like Luke and Vader. There's part where he knocks the steam, which is the same thing Luke does fighting Vader. So there's little nods to some of the different moves and movements in some of the previous duels. Of course, Vader says, "I am what you made me," which is a mix of Hayden and James Earl Jones's voice. Let's see. If you look at, we get this, we've been in Vader's castle before. We got a little bit of that in Rogue One, but in this one, you get to see his throne room. And if you notice that the throne room is like his mask, with the eyes, the steps, or the mouth, and the throne being the nose. So if you go back and look at that, look how visually they're sort of, it's like one of those nesting dolls. It's a Vader within a Vader. Leia says, "Use Force. Can you use the Force to make the ship go faster?" And he says, "That's not how the Force works," which is actually sort of a callback to Force Awakens, when Solo tells Finn that's not how the Force works. Because Finn says, "Can't you just use the Force?" That's not how the Force works. The mining planet is called Mapuzo, which was actually mentioned in Alliance Intelligence Reports, part of the Star Wars role-playing game in the 90s. So again, an extreme deep. These people have got some deep cuts, and I forgot who it is. There's a guy, I can't remember his name. Maybe you guys might remember. There's a guy that's actually is like a huge knowledge Rolodex of everything Star Wars, and he supposedly has been an advisor on this show. So, let's see. If you pay attention to the Inquisitor's room, it's lined with the displays of lightsabers and a youngling helmet. And if we get to episode 4, you can see maybe some of the owners of those. In episode 3, if you pay attention to the underwater windows, there's a blue Vev glider, which is one of the large blue fish that you come across in the game Fallen Order. Let's see. Stormtrooper says, "I'll check out that T-16, which is the same Sky Hyper ship that Obi-Wan tried to give a model to Luke, and then later shows up in New Hope when Luke is playing with it." Let's see. Obi-Wan inadvertently caused the Stormtrooper to get cut in half in the same way that Darth Maul got cut in half in Phantom Menace. So we get another slice in half. I don't think the Stormtrooper's coming back, though.
It's a great scene, though. It's a great scene.
Oh, it is a great scene. The loading robot, the robot shop, if you pay attention, there's legs of a protocol droids in the background, and there's also parts of battle droids in that room. Let's see. We kind of mentioned this earlier, Doc, but the safe house that Tally mentioned, of course, they call it the Path, which I think in the High Republic novel they first mentioned that it's a hyperspace lanes network. It's almost like a version of the Underground Railroad to some point in the Star Wars universe. The hunting of Force-sensitive kids, which is hinted at here, is part of Project Harvester, which was in episodes of the Clone Wars, trying to create a future Sith army. Let's see. The torturing of people to bring out Jedis. We saw Vader doing that to Han to bring Luke out, and the same we have here when he's doing more than torturing and breaking people's necks left and right. Breaking a kid's neck at that. I was like, he doesn't really care. It's full on Vader mode. When Obi-Wan gets raked literally through the coals He
Good way to put
screams
it.
the same as Anakin does when he's in Mustafar getting burned up like a crisp. Okay, moving on to episode 4. When Obi-Wan comes out of the bacta tank, he's asking, "Where's Leia?" Which is actually the same as Finn waking up in his bacta suit saying, "Where's Rey?" in Last Jedi. So we get a nice little correlation or a reference to the newer films. We have young Leia having her attitude, saying she's a princess from Alderaan, which is similar to adult Leia telling Vader that she's on a mission from Alderaan, a diplomatic mission from Alderaan. So we get that similar sort of attitude dealing with people, you know, that could kill you, and she doesn't care. We met Roken, which I don't know about you guys. I was like, that looks like Ice Cube, and it's Ice Cube's son.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
who played Ice Cube in the NWA movie that they made a few years back. But
looks just like him.
And I know at first I was like, wow, I was like, it looks like Ice Cube. And he says every kid making a stone float, which of course a reference to Jedi and a reference to how Jedis make stone float, like Luke and Yoda, or even Ahsoka and Baby Yoda. So we get lots of Rey, you know, for that.
Definitely Rey.
Making big stones float. Roken calls Obi-Wan General Kenobi. So of course we get that reference to him because when he was part of the Republic. Let's see. And actually, here's one of my favorite bits of information, which Obi-Wan says, "Why don't you use those T-47s, which are the snow speeders they used in Empire Strikes Back?" But we find out these are normally used to haul sewage.
Nah!
So it's this just shows you how the rebellion just used whatever types of ships they could find and use them for military reasons. In the same way we got the previous episode where the thing that was like a normal like transport thing for transporting stuff was used as like one of their main like rebellion ships. So, but I just think it's funny because if you think about it, those little things that they shoot out the back of them were used to haul sewage, and they just retrofitted or used it for other means. So basically, Obi-Wan gave them a reason to use these C-47s in war. So basically, Obi-Wan's a reason they were able to take down the AT-ATs. But I just think it's very funny that something that hauled people's poop it actually was used in wartime. It's almost like what the Ukrainians are doing, just using whatever they can to sort of like to fight the good fight.
Would they be storm poopers?
Moving on. This is not the joke you're looking for. The Reva mentions Balnab, which for those diehard.
I've mentioned that a few times in my life myself.
That's what she said. Which was mentioned by Reva, which is actually they intercepted a transmission. This is actually a reference to a mid-rim planet shown in Clone Wars. It was the episode where C-3PO and R2-D2 deal with. They find out that these pit droids are using a hologram to control the locals, almost like Wizard of Oz style. So, they mentioned that planet. Let's see. Outer Rim, yeah. You're just naughty. And then also we have a moment. I don't know about you guys. I was like, I don't recognize that kind of outfit in Star Wars before, but we have the Imperial officer. There's the Empire when Tala walks in to that specific area, the specific
security
restricted area.
Yeah.
There's a person that walks by with a big trench coat. And even I was like, I don't think I've ever seen that in Star Wars. And it's like, it's yeah. So it's Chekhov's trench coat that'll be used
trench coat
for nefarious reasons, for Scooby-Doo reasons. Let's see. Obi-Wan uses a rebreather, which he first used, of course, in Naboo when they go underwater. to meet the Gungans, and of course his swim is pretty similar to a portion of the Jedi Fallen Order game. So again, there's a lot of references to some of the games. There's a squid-like creature that's on the door underwater that some people think might be a Vixis, which is actually a common ancestor to the Sarlacc, and also ties into how Tatooine used to be a water planet or had water on the planet. So it might have been one of those creatures that maybe adapted into that. Let's see. Reva struggles to read Leia's mind in a similar way to Kylo trying to read Rey's mind. So again, that sort of ties into how we know that Leia is Force sensitive. Let's see. Obi-Wan evades the seeker droids, which the seeker droids were first used by the Seventh Sister in the Rebels series. It also makes a similar noise to interrogator droid in New Hope that was and try to interrogate Leia. The comm devices that Tala and Obi-Wan use are the same one they use on New Hope, in the New Hope that Luke and them use, and C-3PO. Obi-Wan hides from the troopers and causes a sound to happen in the same way that he hides from them and causes a sound to happen in New Hope.
Yes.
Also, there's a part where Obi-Wan says, "This place isn't a fortress, it's a tomb." And his delivery is pretty much a lot like, "That's no moon, that's a space station." So again, we have sort of a delivery of a line that's similar to another famous line. Of course, we get to the tomb, the tomb of the Lost Jedi. And a wide shot of the tomb on the right, one of the Jedis could be I forgot. I don't even know what I read here. It could be one of the aliens that was Bablo Gil, or it could be two different Jedis, and one of those Jedis was actually listed as a fugitive in Darth Vader comic. Coleman Kasaj, I think that it could be him or Pablo Gil, one of those two aliens. Also, another one of the Jedi is Cassian Terra Sanub, which, for those people who are fans of the Clone Wars, was a Jedi Master who had a lightsaber in his cane, and he had dealings with Ahsoka and younglings. So he could have easily been one of those people helping the younglings to escape. And of course, we get a youngling in Amber, and he's actually one of the younglings from the very first episode.
Oh, really?
So he's been in that thing for 10 years.
Wow. He hasn't aged well.
Well, he's aged better than we have. Of course, if you're not moving.
He hasn't aged at all.
There's one person that has hair that looks similar to Quinlan Foss, but it would seem like I kind of doubt that they would mention his name and he wouldn't maybe pop up in something else. And I think that supposedly one of the casting, I think, for Ahsoka may have him in part of that. So I wouldn't. But again, we don't really know. We're just sort of like making observations and trying to figure it out. The torture rack, the Inquisitor torture rack, is similar to the one used in the Jedi game Fallen Order. Again, another reference to the video game. Tala tries to throw off Reva by saying that the people they're looking for are on Florum, which is the outer rim planet in the Clone Wars, which is the home of the pirate gang. And I can't remember. I think the pirate leader's Hoda, I think, or something like that.
Hondo.
I'm sorry, Hondo. I figured you'd correct me on that. Let's see. When the lights go out and Obi-Wan's fighting people with his blue lightsaber, it's pretty much similar to the video they showed at E3 for the Force Unleashed 2, where Starkiller is basically doing the very same thing. And actually, the actor who voiced that, and actually they used his look for that game, commented on Twitter about that. Because he also does voices Darth Vader. He's like, not only did he cut off my legs, he stole my dancing as well.
Wow.
Let's see. When Leia says that that she didn't snitch, Obi-Wan says, "I know." And you remember the last time somebody said that to somebody who was going into like a different type of torture chamber.
Yeah.
So we get a call back to Han. Let's see.
Got a
Of
call
course,
forward?
we do what?
That might be a call forward.
A call forward. Yeah. It's all mixed up at this point. The black and red armored stormtrooper is the Purge Trooper, which was actually one of the troopers from the Jedi Fallen Order game. Let's see. The glass breaking and him using the force powers to redirect the water is a similar thing happened in the Jedi Fallen Order game where Vader did the very same thing. So again, we have sort of like them flipping roles. Let's see. Reva yells traitor, similar to what Finn got yelled at by Kylo Ren, as well as the stormtrooper with the I forgot what that weapon is. Of course, we find out that the Lola robot has the tracker on it, and its eye turns from blue to red in the same way that we go from like a blue lightsaber to a red lightsaber, sort of reflecting the different sides. Obi-Wan does his famous saber twirl at some point when he's fighting. So if you remember that from the prequels. Also something that people have noticed and started pointing out is each one of these episodes, and you even mentioned it, Doc, if you noticed, like each episode is like part one, each of these reflects the different movies. Episode 1, the kidnapping of a young woman, and a lot of it takes place on Tatooine. Episode 2 involves intrigue, an underworld area, neon underworld, and as well as a water area and a neon underworld. Episode 3 involves a fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and someone ends up getting burnt by the end of it. Of course, episode 4, we've had Leia they're trying to torture her, you know. So there's a lot of references to a lot of things that have happened in some of the movies. So it's kind of interesting how there's a kind of tie-ins to the movies. If you pay attention when the rebels are looking at the map of the different systems, we find out that the water moon of Nur is in the same system as Mustafar.
They actually call it out as being a moon of Mustafar.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Well, it seemed like, I think the way they had it, almost had it like it was a moon of another planet, but I guess it was just the way it was located on that screen.
That's the way I heard it. I could have heard it wrong and interpreted it.
Maybe. But anyway, it's kind of interesting. You have like almost like a water planet and a lava planet. And of course, Reva leaving a tracker on Lola is similar to what Vader did to the Millennium Falcon. So it kind of ties in that maybe that's where Vader got his idea from Reva. So she kind of influenced a lot of Vader's tactics from this point on. So, but anyway, that's the $1.5 million.
That's $1 million. That went into the Sith rulebook. Yeah, what you do?
Yeah. So,
all right. So let's dive into our thoughts. We're 45 minutes into our review, so we're not going to get into as much as we would hope, but we've got to talk about some issues. And Slattman, you mentioned you had a very particular nitpick on the pre-show. So I want to know, sir, what that is.
I believe I was talking about a different show to you, but I do have a very particular nitpick either way.
Okay, well, go for it.
Darth Vader could have walked through that fire. His suit is fireproof.
Yes,
if he was that angry, why the hell didn't he just go and grab Obi-Wan to continue to torture him? Like that is the biggest plot armor. I think that it's very hard to disbelieve that he would just give up. And when he was that pissed off earlier on, like 5-10 minutes beforehand in the episode, and I don't know, that one is so much harder to believe than our Austin Powers moment.
It is an
I found it to be. I feel like he wants him to suffer, so I didn't really see any kind of problem. And I think, to be honest, they do that throughout a lot of the movies, to where it's just more about they just. I mean, it's more about just
Thrill the hunt.
playing with the food to some degree. You know, it's
Yeah.
like he's like, I know I'm going to get you at some point, and I think that's what I mean, because there's so many different moments where Vader just stands there and doesn't do anything. You know, and he's also not the healthy person he was either. He's got like metal parts, so I don't know how well he's going to be able to jump too big. And plus, we don't even know anything involved. That's space fire. That's there might be certain elements that may not allow you to jump above it. So I don't know.
Who knows? But isn't Vader supposed to have like a fear of fire, or is that just?
That's why his suit's fireproof.
Okay.
Or it's supposed to be.
Who killed the fire the first time? If the fire went down,
He did.
Vader did it, right?
Yeah.
So why didn't he do it again?
Well, it was also bigger the second time, right?
Yeah, because it was an explosion.
Okay.
I did see a really interesting theory on why Vader didn't pursue Obi-Wan, though, is because and why he was acting kind of odd, I guess, is a good during the fight. As I guess is the best way to put it, is that in his mind, Anakin had been putting this, like, bringing this moment up, like, you know, I'm finally gonna finally gonna get my revenge, and then, you know, hyping it up to himself all this whole time, and then finds out that he's fighting this like old man that's not really connected to the Force anymore. He's not the warrior he used to be, and he was kind of disappointed with the result of his own thing.
So he wants more of a challenge.
Yeah, he wants more of a challenge. He wants to overcome Obi-Wan, not fight Ben.
Well, he wants him at his full power, and I think because Obi-Wan is kind of holding back, and I mean, some of it's not on purpose. He just hasn't connected to the Force, but because he's not at his full potential, I think it just feels like, you know, he's like beating a guy who's down. And I think he in order to really insult him is to wait till he's at his full power, then kick his ass. And I think you know, plus, but at the same time, also he wants him to suffer. So he's like, I'll make you suffer, and then we'll fight again. I'll make you suffer some more, because I think he wants to put him through the same suffering that he deals with every day. Because I mean, regardless of how badass Darth Vader is, it's really sad to see that. Like, I mean, he has these things that like stick into his lungs to make him breathe, and he's got all these tubes, and he's, you know, he lives a very sad existence where he pines for this woman he loved, and at the same time he's probably feeling pain 24/7. So yeah, I think it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, like someone wants to feel like I want to feel like the full badass if you're at your badass potential. Otherwise, it's not really a real fight for him. And it's like, we can always fight another day when you've recovered and you're like, yeah, you're ready to fight again. So I mean, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, there's a lot of those sort of like superhero like things, you know, sort of like Rogue One, where Darth Vader's just standing there at the dock. You know, he probably could have used a force jump into the ship. I mean, there's a lot of moments. Pull. Yeah, a force pull. I mean, I'm not to the level of Force Unleashed where you just, you know, pull stuff down, but
yeah.
So I don't know. It's it's more for dramatic impact, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah, that's true.
I do want to call out one really, really smart thing in episode 3, though, and it's the fact that before the reveal that Vader is Anakin to Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan's PTSD visions are of a burnt up Anakin without any suit and still Jedi robes. And I think that's genius. Of course he wouldn't realize that Darth Vader, he didn't even know that Darth Vader existed at this point, most likely. Of course he wouldn't realize that that is who Anakin had become. Of course he wouldn't have nightmares about Darth Vader. He would think Anakin is a scarred human being still in his Jedi robes that he last saw him in. And I don't know. I thought that was absolutely genius.
That's a question I have. Maybe you guys can answer it too. Revenge of the Sith, didn't Obi-Wan when he was looking at the tapes of what had happened, and he saw Anakin kneeling before Palpatine. Didn't Palpatine call Anakin Vader at that point?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, but he didn't. This is the first time he's seen Vader in his Darth Vader suit. The last time he saw Vader was on Mustafar when he chopped all his limbs off, basically.
So he knew Anakin was Vader then at that point, but he didn't really know who
that Vader was, black suit, menacing, towering cape,
Okay.
He thought he would still look like Anakin. I don't know.
Just crispier.
Yeah, a little rubberier.
Yeah.
Rubberier. Gosh.
But yeah, I thought that was genius, brilliant.
All right, let's talk about the Scooby-Doo moment.
I have never laughed so hard at a Star Wars.
I mean,
moment.
What were they thinking?
That was
so, 100 different ways they could have done that.
Here's the funniest: it looked ridiculous when you first see it, but in the midst of this battle and blasters are flying, you still see them. He's
still got her tucked
like still walking with her in the coat, and it looked so funny. It just looked hilarious.
It looked ridiculous. And I think on top of that, go back and watch it when they first walk through all the different people, and they have people walking in different areas.
Angles and everything.
There's stormtroopers walking to a wall. They're
not in any kind of panic or rush.
Yeah, and there's stormtroopers that are walking past the camera that you can tell are not in that scene. I mean, it's like, and it feels like they tried to add all these different people moving around to sort of mask the fact that Obi-Wan's walking like he just ate 50 cheeseburgers or something.
Yeah,
and
nobody cares.
And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if you wore some big poofy overcoat. It's pretty obvious you're smuggling something. And I mean, I would think surely there's a robot that could pull the internal mechanisms out of or a container. I mean, I think there's a better way to do that than that, and then just that whole thing.
So many Little Rascals episodes.
I know that's what it felt like. It felt like Little Rascals. It felt like, I think was it Little Rascals when they try to go to a movie theater or something, and they it's almost like it's like they always make the
Frankie had the fake mustache on.
Yeah, 3 kids in an overcoat or something. Yeah. And that was the whole thing I kept thinking of. I just felt like, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy trying to sneak into someplace. And it just it fit right into some goofy child's cartoon, but in this universe I was like, this is just and then those T-67s are made for one person, and you're putting 3 adults and a kid.
They had 2 people in, because you had one in the front.
Well, they have 2 people, but again, that they're cramping a lot of people in there. I think that whole thing just felt very, very, very rushed and didn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, the whole overcoat thing was probably one of the most ridiculous things I've seen. Well, let's forget about. Well, maybe the Star Wars special, holiday special is the word. But this is one of the most ridiculous ideas. Yeah. And I was like, did I just see that? And I laughed. I was like, this is.
But
no.
All right. So we also found out the snow speeders can hover.
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that more? Well, anyway, it doesn't matter what they did in Empire Strikes Back, but it just seems that's a pretty neat
those speeders can hover. They might have been modified.
There you go. Yeah. Because they weren't spaceships, because they did come out of a bigger transport. I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, but things like that just didn't make sense. And there's even the part where the Tala fights the stormtroopers, and she just hits him.
She smacks him. Smacks him on the head.
I was like, this is the worst armor.
Shouldn't
he protect you from somebody?
The Empire is known for making the cheapest armor possible and just making it look scary, because looks are more important than durability to most soldiers.
It definitely doesn't make you breathe. And it definitely doesn't make you breathe underwater either.
No. Stormtroopers do not swim.
cheap.
Yeah.
You'd think they would. It looks like they have like breather things on them. All right, so God bless America. Oh man.
The clone trooper helmets allowed them to breathe in space and underwater, but stormtroopers, nope. They axed that rebreather real fast.
They made budget cuts. That's why you don't have any rails on the budget cuts.
I mean, how else do you think they're funding the Death Star?
I know you can't. Got to cut all the rails. Cut all the it's got to happen. Chad, got to get you in on this discussion, and we've talked about Reva, but we've got to talk about Reva interrogating Leia, because this felt like super awkward to me. What was your impression of that scene? Did it work for you, or did you have problems with it?
I thought you're right. There is something awkward about it, and I feel like, and I was going to wait till the end of the series to kind of see where they're going with Reva's character. But again, I feel like they're going to give her some kind of redemption arc, so they don't want to make her too scary. They don't want to make her too and it's not the actress, because Moses Ingram is a wonderful actress. I don't know if it's the way it's written. I don't know if it's her costume. I don't know if it's her line delivery. I don't know what it is, but she just does not come across as a minion of Vader, like, for instance, when Vader walks into the room after they escaped and confronts Reva, they do this downward upshot of Vader, menacingly coming up on her like this. That crap is scary. That is scary. And I feel like we should be getting that with her character as well. She should be scary. She should be menacing, even though we don't know what her motivations are at this point. And I don't feel it. I don't feel that. And it could be because I've been spoiled by people saying, "Oh, they're going to redeem her at the end," that I feel that way. I don't know. But I just there's something about it. It just feels off-putting. Like it's not. I didn't feel like she was really threatening Leia at all. I felt like she was threatening a lot. But
she was speaking threatening words, but she wasn't.
You didn't get the feeling that she would follow through with Leia for some reason, and that's.
Well, they did show her holding back because she got frustrated and made a fist, but
yeah, she almost went for the face of Leia at one point, but there's just something there that's not. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, there's got to be. They better back that shit up.
So I'm feeling like there's something still yet to be revealed with Reva's character that we haven't seen, or there's something there that I'm hoping there's a reason for all that.
Well, I have a new idea in regard to that.
Okay.
A lot of people think that Reva was one of the younglings in episode 1. But the maybe it's just a throwaway line, but the guy who's leading the thing on Jabim or whatever, he mentions that his wife was kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
And if she goes to where they are, what if that she is his wife?
Ooh.
And he has to confront her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the actor has made a point to say that his character has quite a surprise, and people have reacted like, "This is it. This is your surprise." So you might be on to something, sir.
Because they've had a few people that are huge Star Wars nerds that act like that her age doesn't fit with what the younglings were, and maybe the youngling thing was just a tie into that youngling that is frozen in the sort of the amber substance, but. I almost feel like it doesn't feel like it's a throwaway line.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
To say that somebody I knew, or like my wife was kidnapped and taken, that to know that she's not dead and that she's also this sort of villain.
And when you think about it, the younglings were maybe what 5, 6 years old, maybe
10 at most. 10 at
10
most.
at most, and then
Yeah.
another 10 years goes by.
And she doesn't
Viva
like she
looks a
be
little bit
20.
older than that.
I mean,
yeah.
not to say that she looks old. She doesn't look like she's like a
Right,
19 or
right.
20-year-old.
She doesn't look that young.
She looks, more mid-20s or something.
Mhm.
And so that's why I'm thinking I'm kind of, and so I don't know. That when he said that, I was like,
Yeah.
So, and I think because now that they have the tracker and they may go back to, wherever Jabim or whatever, that would give a reason for them to sort of
Yeah, they're definitely going
come
to
across each other.
Yep.
And so that I guess the next episode will be interesting to see if that plays into it, and that might play into her, and I think that's also why she's not as, I think she has attitude, but I think it almost comes off like she's just mad that she got pulled into this stuff, and I think that's why she's different than everybody else. She's not fully convicted into like in this whole situation.
Yeah, I just feel like there's still something we hasn't been revealed yet that we haven't seen.
And the other
that's why I've kind of wanted to wait until to see what the whole.
But I don't have a problem with
as,
her.
but...
I see her sort of like Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren was just this big baby. Just like, I'm gonna fight the wall because I can't get my way. So I don't know. I
that was a tantrum. That was a tantrum.
Yeah, but also I feel like she's also a manipulative person too. I think when I didn't have a problem with the Leia thing because I think she was trying to manipulate her. Playing into that.
That was a cool thing when she tried to get Leia to tell her where they were, and we're all on the same side. And Leia goes, "Well, then let me tell my dad where they are." So Leia sort of, I love little Leia. I love her to death.
Yeah,
and especially as the show keeps going and she's doing stuff like that, you can see that character of Leia developing. That
you could see it in her, and she's you can see her grow as an actress too.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, there's a lot happening here, and it's really. I'm kind of happy about it now. All right,
I know there's a lot of controversy about Reva or whatever, and even though I have issues there, it's not affecting my overall enjoyment of the show. And like I said, and I love Moses. I think Moses Ingram is a great actor. So that's why I keep thinking there's just something there we haven't seen yet.
I don't know if I necessarily put it on her. They're just not. She's not like, I think what you said made a lot of sense. She's not being presented that way, right? Not with the camera angles, the music, the lighting. Nothing is building on that she should be a menace. She's doing her best, but there's nothing supporting her.
Right, and there could be a reason for it.
Problem, and even with the dialogue. But we'll get into all that. I think we're an hour in, so let's go ahead and spend the next 30 minutes doing our final thoughts, our score, and favorite scene from each episode. Slattman, sir, you are up first.
All right, I'm going to keep this as brief as I possibly can. 15 minutes later. All right.
Gotta do SpongeBob when you do that.
The episode 3. Episode 3 just has something to it. It is a very memorable episode. It is a very high point for the series so far for Vader alone.
Yes.
Vader kind of steals the show for episode 3 and makes that episode kind of worth it. Although that being said, I don't remember her name, but the actress that plays the spy that helps Obi-Wan, name is escaping me.
Tala?
Yeah, Tala.
Yeah, Indira Varma.
Yeah, Indira Varma. She's fantastic in both episodes. I really like her character. I like her actress.
Game of Thrones, she was excellent in that. So.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But even though the confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader wasn't what we expected, I think it worked really well for the characters in that situation. And I will very much remember every single moment that Vader was on screen in that episode. It was well shot. It was well well choreographed for what it is, I think, and they use lighting and the environment very well. And then it has one of the most like heartfelt and like almost heartbreaking scenes before that with Obi-Wan and Leia on the little transport.
Yes.
It was a solid episode. It was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. Even if you can look past some of the mental gymnastics with the plot armor, like how the hell did Reva find that door so quickly? You know, it was hidden for 10 years, and she just walks in and is like, this looks funny, boke. And then the whole thing with Darth Vader in the fire. But if you look past that, it's still very good, still great. It has some flaws. It's not perfect. Nothing will be, but it's still great. It's still a high point of this series. Episode 3 is a 4.75 for me.
Nice.
And my favorite scene is actually the scene with Hayden Christensen in the Jedi robes.
Oh, just on the hill? Okay.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. I love that scene. That scene is so brilliant to me. Okay, episode 4. This episode feels like it was ripped right out of Clone Wars or Rebels. It has a little bit more adventure. It has a little bit more spunk to it. It has a little bit more fun to it, I think.
Yes.
And
Scooby-Doo.
Austin Powers with Mini-Me. And if you suspend your disbelief, it is.
I'm sorry, that's hilarious.
If you suspend your disbelief for that one scene, I think this episode kind of harkens back to what makes Star Wars fun. You know, impossible situation, but fun action scenes, silly moments, but great, well executed, even if they are very silly. And it has a couple very tense moments as well that pay off, I think. And I don't know. I had more fun watching this episode, even though I think episode 3 is a better episode. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. This one's more fun. My favorite scene is it's actually the scene with Obi-Wan pushing the using the Force to push the water and trapping the stormtroopers. Yeah, I thought that was a good scene. I thought that was well acted. I thought that was well choreographed. And stormtroopers, they can't swim.
No, they can't swim. They float really well.
Shoot,
yeah.
can't swim.
I love the shot through the windows of them just going.
Yeah. 4.5 for the episode 4.
Perfect. Love it. Chad, your final thoughts, your score, favorite scene for both episodes.
Okay, final thoughts for episode 3. It was awesome to see Vader, and I loved seeing Hayden Christensen as Vader, and it was a great episode. It was I still think we have another major fight scene between these two.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, and but this is just kind of leading up to that, and you guys gave me a little bit of insight on that battle scene a little bit that made me appreciate it a little more, or the fight scene. My favorite scene was when Vader puts the saber down and the red beam just comes out of it. That was like,
oh yes,
that was just white. I was just like, yes. That was awesome. And so I give that one I give this episode a 4.75, just for the Vader being in it alone, and the wonderful way that they portrayed him with the armor, when they were putting the armor on him and suiting him up and everything. That was just some awesome stuff that we never got to see in any of the movies, and I love that.
Vader's very much Jason Voorhees in here. It's just like he shows up around the corner.
Yeah, he's like a shark. Yeah. Episode 4. This reminded me a lot of when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were chasing Darth Maul through the hallways, and but this was a little more on the stealthy side, and I loved that whole almost James Bondish kind of thing where the suspense of the whole scene of him going through that. Then that's my favorite scene as well. Him making his way through and fighting the stormtroopers and using a lightsaber to, to block laser blasts and stuff like that was just, it just took me back to good old Jedi days.
Jedi days.
So I like this. This is my favorite one. I like this too. I like this, my favorite, because you got to see a little more Jedi action than we've been seeing. So, but I'm still giving this one a 4.75 as well, because I still feel like there's something better coming for us. So
I feel the reservation myself.
Yeah.
All right, Christopher G. Morris, sir, your final thoughts, your score, your favorite scenes, both episodes.
Yeah, I'm loving where it's going. I think more than anything, it's kind of nice to see. It's nice to see sort of Obi-Wan sort of coming to terms with his life and the things that have happened, and coming to terms with his actions, and also just having to sort of like step up and be the kind of person he needs to be as a Jedi, there's so many moments in this, especially in these these 2 episodes that we just reviewed, where you just see in his eyes and his expressions, you see how he kind of responds to things, and he says more without saying anything in those type of moments. I love Leia. I think she's amazing. I think that little girl is really the perfect embodiment of what Carrie Fisher brought to the role, the perfect amount of sass and attitude and delivery, but also, and even just a sadness. I think I even mentioned to you guys in our communications that the end of episode 4 made me cry, the way it ended. That just that moment of her reaching out to hold his hand. It's like, because we have that one moment previously in the series where it's like, are you my dad? And it's interesting because we found out through this whole Star Wars stories that the biggest problem with Jedis is having to cut connections to things, but sometimes cutting your connections can cut the type of person you are, and also cuts your comfort. It cuts, it makes you a little bit colder. And so it is kind of good to sort of walk that fine line between having connections and caring about somebody. So yeah, I'm loving it. And I like Reva. I think to me, it's a totally different villain that we don't normally see, or we have seen. She's just a variation of Anakin. She's a variation of Kylo. She's a variation of those type of things. And I think we're going to find out there's some kind of connection that we find out soon, that maybe she has some kind of turnabout that happens with her character and how she feels. Because I think she's not fully committed to things. She just has, she has this fury about just being pissed off that I've been forced into this situation. And I think at some point she's like, well, maybe I shouldn't, maybe this isn't the path I should take her own path per se. So yeah, I'm loving it so far. But I did have a few issues with things in episode 4. There's issues with some of the special effects. Even the window cracking thing was a little bit, late 90s, early 2000s. And just that whole scene with the Scooby-Doo moment, and just the special effects around it. Just everything was just, I don't know. I felt like we're creating this just so we can drive Chris crazy. Because everything was just it's like, find everything wrong in this scene.
It's the Where's Waldo of bad effects.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was the Where's Leia of Star Wars, and that just whole scenario, just like, this is I think the way that played out was kind of, I don't know, it was wonky as hell. And I'll put up with so many crazy things in the Star Wars universe, but something about that, just like this felt like out of place in Star Wars. It felt like it walked out of an old Bugs Bunny cartoon, and I don't know. So I know. I think for episode 3, I mean, I think there's moments that kind of like counterweigh elements. So I'll give episode 3. I feel like I want to give him the same rating, but then at the same time, the more I think about the Scooby-Doo moment, it makes me mad. Or doesn't it just so ridiculous, so fucking sorry, freaking ridiculous. Making me curse.
Kraken.
I'll give both a 4.75. I'll just say that because there's certain elements. There's a tension in episode 4 that's palatable, and there's so many great moments in it that it can make me sort of forget that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Where Spanky and the crew show up. As for favorite moments, I will say in episode 3. It's just all about picking my favorite Vader moments at this point.
I was gonna say.
It'd be easy to pick the big fight moment, but I'm gonna say when he's walking down that street.
Oh my god!
He's just like cracking necks left and right. And there's even one part where he's almost has this little mini body parade where he's like force pulling.
Yeah, he's pulling her along. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, even cracks the little kid's neck, and I'm like, at that moment, I realized I'm not sure if the whole thing about these Star Wars is made for kids is really a real thing.
It's not accurate anymore.
You know, we got people's hands getting chopped off and people's necks getting cracked. I don't know, but I don't know. I just showed that's the power, full Vader power, and I think that's what ever since we saw Rogue One, we want to see like Vader at his full potential, and it's that. Mm-hmm. And then that ties into my episode 4 moment where we've never seen Darth Vader strut, and he's like strut. I'm gonna pardon my French, choke a bitch, and he's like and most of the time we just see him like, just tall walking, but he's like
tall walking.
He's like walking. He's mad. Yeah, I mean he's just like
tall walking and force choking.
Oh yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I just I keep saying that maybe a full Vader show might not be good, but I don't know. I think I might want a full Vader show just to see him going crazy on people and just being full like, big baby Vader. Where he's like, oh, you did that? Okay. I'll stop choking now. So yeah, I think
underestimated you.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my 2 favorite moments.
Yes, I like that. Okay, I'm enjoying the show. I said earlier, like, I think it's better than Boba Fett, but it's not quite Mandalorian. And I think the fact that it's so tied, and I think Boba Fett had that same problem, right? It's so tied to the other show, the other mythology, that it just feels like it has to fit. It feels like a puzzle piece, where the Mandalorian felt more, like an exploration, even though it brought in certain characters that we love. So I think I'm feeling that, but at the same time, each episode I feel like is getting better, and I really loved episode 4 for the adventure of it. So with episode 3, it's basically, the show was split in half because it's the Leia show at the first half, and then it's the Vader show in the second half, right? Mm-hmm. And both of them are interesting, and there's a lot of interesting that happens on each side. So while I like that, that's kind of why it didn't quite have the same energy for me as the 4th one, which was, we're on a mission, right? It was a mission episode. It was, okay, we've got to, where's Leia, right? He wakes up, where's Leia? That's his, and then he you guys aren't coming with me? I'm going by myself, right? Mm-hmm. He's good. He's got to get Leia, that's it. It's straightforward. Everything's around that. Even the Scooby-Doo moments around that. But so I really enjoyed that, and that's what that's when I started realizing that this show, what's making the show for me is that element that it feels like it's coming out of, the animation series. It feels the Filoniverse is driving this a lot as well.
Mhm.
So I'm giving both episodes. I'm going to go 4.75 as well. I really enjoyed both for different reasons, right? Totally different reasons. And Vader, of course, for both of them. I love seeing Vader, and I really want to see a Vader series. But I want to see a Vader series where he's off doing Vadery things, right? I don't want to see him having to chase Obi-Wans and Skywalkers. I want to see him.
Yeah.
I want to see him, going for some kind of espionage kind of
sort of like the Darth Vader Oculus
comics, right?
games.
Yeah.
Well, the Oculus games are like that. He's off on
Yeah.
a different adventure than what's normal.
Right. I just want to see him be able to exercise these, powers and be cool and awesome and what we want. Because every time he's on screen doing that, we love it, right?
Yeah.
And Rogue One proved that, and then the show is building on it too. Even if there's a lot. I'm not going to get into all the flaws for them. So anyway, my favorite scenes in both episodes, which surprisingly neither of you guys didn't pick it. I figure you guys knew which one I wanted to pick in episode 4, so you didn't pick it. But episode 3, as much as I love the Vader part of it, this is really where I really got into the young Leia character, right?
Mhm.
Because when she's on the transport with Obi-Wan after the stormtroopers get off, and she's like talking there. Well, there's also another great moment with Obi-Wan too. But anyway, and she's realizing that what Obi-Wan's air quotes lie is that he knew her mother, right? And then I think you mentioned it, Christopher. She looks up to him with these big puppy dog eyes. And, are you my father? Which is a classic kind of Star Wars trope, right? And he goes, no, I really wish I was, right? And that moment just felt so right for those two characters at that moment. And I really, really enjoyed that. And I also liked the scene where she met the robot and treated it so much differently than everybody else has. And it felt like the robot reacted to that, right?
Yeah.
The droid, I guess I should say. And you see that later, right? Because he's holding, the droid's holding the hammer behind his back. He's like, he says he doesn't communicate, he doesn't understand, but you feel like because of Leia, because of that interaction, that something happened, right? So I don't know. There's that. So in the 4th episode, okay, this also happened in the 3rd one, but it's a lightsaber moment. All right. So the lights go out, you've got 2 stormtroopers and Leia's all trapped up, and then you just see Stealth Kenobi zooming around and the lightsaber turns on, it glows blue, and the stormtrooper falls, and he's gone again. The other one's like, what's going on? And Zappy gets into, and it's just, that was so great. And that was, that scene was just beautiful, right? It was just staged great. It was executed well, and having the lights, it was just so much fun. I really, really enjoyed that. And there was a mirror of that in episode 3 with both the lights, like, because you can see the blue reflections off Obi-Wan from above, like when he's running away, and then Darth walking along behind with the big red. So I just love that aspect of it. So that was by far my favorite scene of the series so far, to be honest with you. I just love Obi-Wan, Stealth Kenobi chopping up
Stealth Kenobi.
and okay, honorable mention, the slice in half of the stormtrooper. Was oh my god, I cheered. Oh my god, I said, oh yeah. And he just,
wouldn't it be great if he came back at the end of the series with little spider legs?
I don't know, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's a stormtrooper.
They've done it once already.
Yeah, but it worked once.
Yeah, but that was a great moment. That was
a flesh wound.
Yeah, just what are you gonna do? Bleed on me.
I still can't shoot straight.
That's certainly not gonna help.
No.
Oh man, and they haven't gotten any better.
Yeah, maybe they'll
But
just
Obi-Wan was
attach it to the
pretty
front of
cool,
a transport.
Isn't that awesome when he's like deflecting all the fire?
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, he you can tell he's, it's like riding a bike again. And he's like, well, I remember how to do this.
Yep. All right, well, there you go. That's our review of Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes 3 and 4. Thank you for sticking with us for an hour and a half of discussion about these two, but they deserved it. They deserved it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the next 2 episodes, which are the penultimate and the finale. So that's too soon. Let's hope Ewan McGregor wasn't teasing us with a 7, 8, 9, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was. But
if they're doing it like the movies, you know what I mean?
Well, that wouldn't make sense, right? It wouldn't make sense.
Although that would make episode 4 to be the Empire Strikes Back episode. So what does that mean?
No, episode 5. Yeah.
Episode 5 would be the Empire Strikes episode. Right. Yeah.
And then we're gonna get Ewoks and no. Let's move.
I wouldn't mind that.
There's a moment. All right, Christopher Slattman, Chad. It's slobbering time. I thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's always fun talking to you guys.
Let's say goodnight. That jokes are done.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.